Thank you so much, Paul. I mean, as somebody coming from the SAR background and seeing what they're doing at their level, it really is fantastic to see that level of integration. And just as kind of we were talking about with Kerr County, the need to integrate and meet people where they are, whether it's SAR-Topo or SAR-COP or anything else like that, is it's really critical, and it's super great to see that. He's done an awesome job with that integration, everything. So we're closing this out with a discussion on TAK-Aware. This is kind of the Nate referenced kind of the first day. There's 3 iOS TAK clients that are out there right now, or 3. He said 3 iTAKs, but really this is a discussion kind of talking about what this has come. Some of you have probably heard about TAK-Aware throughout the conference and been like, what the heck is this? This didn't exist last year. So it's if you haven't been in that community and seeing where it is, this will be giving you a demo of that. The reason it's in this particular slide is this came out of the public safety community. My name is Corey Foy. I'm the founder of Flight Tactics. I'm also a TAK-Mil for the U.S. Capitol Police. But my career comes from technology and public safety. So I started in fire rescue, technical rescue, wilderness search, swiftwater rescue technician, tactical medic, all those fun things. So for me, TAK isn't just something that is a fun technology solution. It's really something day-to-day that we all use and work together as a community as part of. So a couple of things I want to cover in this. Really, this is going to be a look at TAK-Aware, but also kind of how we got there, and we're going to talk a little bit about, okay, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room of like the iTAK versus everything else that's going on, and kind of some of that stuff that's happening into here. So I guess first of all, we'll start with why iOS, and to do that, we kind of need to step back just a little bit and understand how we or how I got into this. So this is a CalTopo map of a search that we were doing out in the Smoky Mountains, and one of the things worth pointing out of this is that it was probably a 25-minute drive into where our search area started. And then we were hacking through what's called a manway. So it's basically an old trail that's been completely overgrown. Partway through this particular, so this is kind of giving a sense of some of the area that we were in. And we were on the edge of kind of a big drop off. And along the way, my lieutenant, who's standing there with his glasses on, he was behind me, and he thought he heard the gentleman that we had been looking for. So he called out the gentleman's name, and it was not the gentleman, it was a bear. And the bear was very excited to see us and came down out of the tree and left her cubs up in the tree, which was double exciting. And so we were kind of in a really difficult spot, right? Like we can't rappel down the side of the mountain. We have nothing set up aside of that. We can go back, but we've got to go back slowly. We can't go forward because of where she's at. And more importantly, nobody knew where we were. So we were using, CalTopo, SAR-Topo. We had no cell signal, no radio comms. We were out, just as kind of what Paul's talking about. We're out of line of sight of the towers that are there. From our perspective, we were like, there's got to be a better way than this. This is not, as the captain of the team that was there, like, it was like, this is not acceptable to me. So we really started to look into TAK and what was possible from it. When we talk about public safety from a TAK perspective, or just public safety in general, if you're not in public safety, you think of it as one unified thing, but really we're talking about 12,000 EMS agencies, 17,500 police agencies, and 30,000 fire departments across the U.S. So when we say public safety, almost every scene that we're going in is some sort of mutual aid conglomeration of a bunch of different people coming together that are under different leaderships, that are under different technologies, that are under different all sorts of stuff. But more importantly, as we started to look at TAK and we started to look at the solutions that were there, we, as you've heard time and time again, so the slide from COTAC, as Paul was kind of talking about, in public safety, iOS is what everybody is using. And it's really challenging for us to be able to say, okay, well, just use Android. That really isn't as possible as we would like it to be for how we kind of operate with everything that's there. We do that with some cases, like we will, Charles Laird, my counterpart in North Carolina, helps coordinate this North Carolina State Fair TAK response, and we get 100, 150 phones in and that are Android. We just hand them out to people. But when we talk about any kind of actual response from public safety, we've got to deal with iOS side of things, and it just is what it is. We cannot just say go use Android, not because Android is less superior or anything else like that. It's really just because that's not what people are using. So then really the next question would be, oops, sorry, I triggered the animation again. The next question would really be, well then, if we're doing iOS, why not ATAK? Why do we have something else that is out there? And I'll kind of list these, but I'm listing these in reverse order of importance, because we tend to, I know that there's a lot of people who go ATAK is challenging, or it's garbage, or however you want to lay out to that. From our perspective, if we're talking about a single agency response, so again, I'm also the tax meet for the U.S. Capitol Police, or Rodney Jones, who's talking about from the Secret Service side, if you all have heard what they do. As a single agency or in a single thing, or if what we're talking about is mainly sharing location and dots, it's fine, right? People show up on there. I think ATAK has gotten a lot better than whenever we first started dealing with it 2 years ago. So stability and functionality in reverse order of importance, I would say that was the least reason why we were stepping away from it. Plugins definitely are a concern. I mean, I think we have that across iOS ecosystem. But really for us in the public safety is we're improvisational engineers. We solve the problem, we go out and get it, as you saw from the dueling cloud TAK conversations, or what Paul is talking about on their side of things. We go out and we find the technologies and we solve it, and we plug stuff together, and we have to, because that's how we're dealing with every situation. So that was a thing. And I think lastly for us, and really what drove me to start saying let's build something else, came from user training. So if you had heard the keynote on the first day with Brandon Albrecht from Texas, in Kerrville we had less than 3 minutes to onboard 1,300 users. And when you start talking about that, we have to think about training guides and operational guides, and we're constantly dealing in mixed modality environments. So for us, UI being different caused significant problems, because now we have to have 2 training guides, 2 user guides, 2 operational guides, 2 different sets of data packages, all of those kinds of things, 2 different QR codes that you had to scan. So for us, it was really about can we mirror ATAK and reduce that training and operational and cognitive load as part of where we're at. And again, that's because we have a mission whenever we go out on our incidents, whether that's Swiftwater, whether that's mountain rescue or high angle rescue that we're doing. We're not technologists that are out here. We're really here to solve a mission. We need to get people up and running, and they need to be able to understand it. And we don't always have that time to train everybody on one tool, because we don't always know who we're going to get. Hurricane Helene and Milton's a great example of that, as I kind of talked about on Tuesday, of normally we have mutual aid compacts. It's really hard to issue those mutual aid compacts when the people coming are also literally underwater, right? So we don't know necessarily who we're going to be coming in with, and we've got to have them up and running quickly. So the early days, how did we get started on this? It started actually from the fact that as we started to look at iPhone and iOS, there was no TAK tracker on iOS. So TAK tracker, it turns out, is a pretty important tool for us at scale. One, because it doesn't use as much battery life, but also because a lot of what we're doing, it's not, you don't need a map necessarily for it. We just need to know the location of the people, especially for volunteers. So what you're seeing on the left over here, or my right, is TAK Tracker on Android. And what you're seeing over on this side is the iOS TAK Tracker. This was a purposeful design decision to make it look like the other one. A lot of people told me that was a bad idea. They said, I got a lot of people who called me and were like, we can help you make a better UI. You know that, like, we know designers. And I was like, I know, that's not what we're trying to do here. But it was really about how do we reduce onboarding and training as part of this. And so this was actually built in 2 days during the first Takathon here in DC. So when Nate and the TPC talk about the Takathons, that's why these become so important, is that we learn from what's happening there. We released this app to the App Store in October of 2023, and we've seen a lot of really great adoption from that use case. We can change all sorts of stuff that are about it. But the other thing that came with this was the notion of it being open source. And I'm going to talk about the principles a little bit. But so TAK Tracker itself is open source up on GitHub. And all of the common functionality from a TAK perspective, we were extracting out into this library called CivTAK, which is also open source and has been used to build a bunch of things on top of that. So that was a really important principle for us to be able to, people to be able to see what it was we were building, how we were approaching it, and use that for some other things. Like I know the ForeFlight guys are in the room, right? Somewhere? Did I see them in there? No, of course they left. I'm calling them out and they leave, so you all yell at them later. But as ForeFlight talked about, like how do they integrate in TAK, we were able to point them to that code of this is how we're doing some things into there. So as we started to get into the development of it, what were some of the principles? Really from our perspective, security, like it had to be a secure solution. We were using this for law enforcement, we're using this for sensitive data, all those kinds of things, and open source. The other thing was, even though like our initial goal was to make it function like ATAK, everybody already had the iOS workflows for iTAK. So this actually will support both, it supports both the iTAK and ATAK data packages and flows and QR codes and things like that to reduce, again, that cognitive load of, hey, I sent a data package to an iOS user. Well, they can load it in either one. That's part of that. We generally have the bias towards the ATAK workflow and user interface, obviously, but follow Apple design principles as much as we can for how we use things. We're building this in Swift UI, that kind of stuff is part of it. And I think that the other two things here, one, the libraries and how we built it has always been with an idea of this being releasable by the TPC or the government. The idea behind this is never to be like a gatekeeper or say like, this is our app and you can't have it or whatever. It was really about giving this back to the community. And from a plugins perspective, we've talked a lot about, we've talked to Apple a lot about how we can do plugins and a lot of different vendors, and I'm going to show some of that in a little bit. But really the idea behind this is that, hey, if a vendor wants to build a plugin and it works in iTAK and it works in TAK-Aware, that's a win for us as a community, and that's how we really approach a lot of the stuff that's there. Just showing some of the stuff that's there because of CivTAK. So in the upper corner, that's kind of an early stress test of TAK-Aware. But the other things is because of CivTAK, in the bottom corner here, we've got an Apple TV version of TAK that was built in just like 2 hours on top of CivTAK. So that's really interesting from a command perspective of being able to get that display information that's there. And what's up there and what's on my watch here is the Rain Technologies Hail application. That is a standalone TAK application that also sends biometric data, and that was built off of the CivTAK library as well. So that's kind of the nice thing is as we're building this community and we're thinking about how we put these libraries together, it's allowing rapid development, not just for TAK-Aware, but for other applications as well for this. Deployment footprint, so TAK-Aware itself was released, version 1 was released in December of 2024. It's been security scanned for US Army use. It is our official app of the U.S. Capitol Police, replacing ATAK, recommended by the recommended app by Texas DPS. It's been used across a lot of major events, so New York City Marathon, of course, Kerrville, of course, in the Capitol, all those kinds of things. It is not 100% feature parity with iTAK or ATAK, but we're making a lot of progress towards that. And then I happened to pull the stats last night. So we've had 75,000 downloads across both applications, which is fantastic to see. I mean, 16,000 just over the past couple months for TAK Aware is super awesome to see that and see that much usage happening here. So since Nate said we only had 14,000 public safety users, somebody else is using this, and that's exciting. So. All right, so that's enough kind of about this. What I want to show you now is a bit of the application and how this works together, so that you all can kind of get a sense for what the application looks like, and how we pull it all together. So I'm going to pull up here both the TAK Aware. So this is running on my Mac, and then this is actually running on my phone as part of it. So one of the first things that you can kind of see here is that it has that very much ATAK user interface look and feel as part of it. The icon, the menu choices up here are yellow. Part of what we're going to do is we're in 2.0. We're redoing the menuing system and customizing that so we can customize colors and everything else. We're actually connected live to our North Carolina TAKServer, so you're seeing our ADS-B feeds move around a bit. As part of them, you're seeing some of our KML maps that are there. Connectivity-wise, I'll pull it up over on this side of it. I'm using this new, there it is, okay. There's this new display thing for the phone. I don't know if I can, you want me to make it larger? I can. All right. See if we can make it even larger. Nope. All right, we'll just make it larger. All right. So the first thing to note is that we can connect user information. So you can set your call sign, your teams, phone number, and we support the remarks field. Now, I know in ATAK you do that by clicking your self marker. Here you enter that in, and that'll be transmitted and displayed with your cop marker as part of everything that's there. So pretty standard stuff. We support all of the teams that you would expect as part of it, all of the roles. We don't yet support custom roles, but that's coming as part of it. So a lot of the infrastructure is there. It's just not in place yet. From a server perspective, we support all of your standard kind of enrollment stuff, so certificate enrollment. So that's kind of what you're seeing here. The ability to do data package enrollment, both with ITAK and ATAK packages, as well as QR code enrollment. And so that supports the ITAK style, 4 numbers, and you enter that in, or the ATAK style auto enrollment with a new TAK URL. As part of that. So both of those are supported. What is coming is what Texas does and some other ones where you scan a QR code and it downloads the data package for you. That'll still be coming. Also worth mentioning, TAK Tracker has support for the CIDX OAuth flow. That'll be coming into TAK Aware probably at some point a little bit later this year as part of here. Some of the things that we worked on for this were really the notion of you can turn on and off the server if you want. We have the ability to just simply re-enroll for a cert as part of that, and making some of this easy. Right now, TAK Aware only supports a single connection to a server. That'll be changing as part of the 2.0 work. That's primarily because it came out of TAK Tracker, which only supported one connection. That's probably one of the biggest features I'm getting asked for right now is, can we have 2 connections? It's like, yes, that'll be coming soon as part of it. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of it. Now we're kind of getting into some of the other stuff. We do have support for out of the box, unlike ATAK. No, I'm just we have good maps out of the box as part of this. So it does support the Apple maps, including the flyover maps, which are the 3D view. So if I close this here. I don't know how this thing works here. Okay, but I can pan down and kind of get that 3D view of what the city looks like and everything that's part of it. The other thing that you'll see here is, so we support custom maps, so the Google Hybrid, Google Street, with map caching built in. So we're automatically, as you're panning the map as part of it, we're caching all of those tiles. So if you go offline, you still have your map as part of it. We don't have the ATAK style draw a polygon and download those yet, but again, it's just a UI thing to add that in. This countries database is also a SQLite or MB tiles database, so we support completely offline tiles being loaded into the system as well. Down here we have the normal, like showing traffic on the maps where it's available. You can switch between the user icons and them being just 25 icons if you'd like. And then from a map labeling perspective, we now support truncating, showing the full label, or the ATAK style scroll. So if you open that up, it'll scroll everything that's part of there. And then, of course, custom icon sets are supported, so you can import new icon sets here as part of them, and you can manage your map sources as part of that as well. So super basic as part of everything that's there. So yeah, so then one of the important things that we ran into as we deployed this was, how do we get information about what's going on? So one of the new things we've added is this notion of this debug log file. So we can turn that on, and when we view this file, it'll show a history of all of the debug that's happening. So if something is going wrong, you can definitely turn that on and take a look at it and see, hey, is the cert expiring? Are we not getting a connection to something? Whatever that is part of that. And if you ever call us for support, we'll probably ask you for that. That file is part of it. Okay, so that's not the super exciting stuff. Channel options, so we can get in and it supports all of your normal channel stuff that we've got there. From a data package perspective, we can download from servers. So we pull that list right here. We can search for whatever it is that we needed to do. So I can say like cameras or something, and it'll show the cameras that are part of it. We do have the notion of alerts as part of this, so I'll go over to this one. From the alert perspective, it brings up the same like dual switch. I'm not going to turn on both switches, but it supports both dual switches, and you can change your alert type part of here, and then it pops up an alert as part of this and keeps that persistent, just kind of like if those of you saw the Rodney's version of it in the new ATAK. That similar kind of concept, it'll keep that alert up and let you know, hey, you've got this. And if you cancel the alert, it'll actually cancel the alert. That probably deserves a round of applause for itself. So for those of you who have ever dealt with ATAK alerts as part of that. And then outside of that, so alerts and then orientation and some other basic stuff that's there. So map interaction, one of the main things that was important to us to make sure that we had in here was the idea of being able to tap on things, being able to interact with the map. So as you can see here, we can call the person directly from that. I can't in this because I forgot that's the thing. But over here, if I click on, let's see if Charles is here. There we go. So we have built in this automatic deconfliction screen. So that's because what that recognizes, you had too many dots and it couldn't figure out which one you wanted. So now I can click on that point, click on this, and it brought up, I think the way that it's displaying it, it doesn't want to bring up the phone screen as part of there. But the phone is automatically built in as part of that. We can obviously, of course, bring up user information. So it does bring up an information box in the upper corner. Like ATAK, if you long press this, it'll copy the coordinates for you. We can also Bloodhound directly to whatever that is. If we wanted to, that'll activate the Bloodhound. You can lock on the position of that, and it'll lock the map to it. And we can enable breadcrumbs, and it'll track all of the breadcrumbs as part of it. So if you have something like cameras and you wanted to feed those in, so if I pull up here with like the camera information, we do support video feeds. And as you can see, this is a live video feed up here, so it's going to bring that up. and we'll see that traffic come up really quickly as part of that. So that's it from the map information perspective. We do have a lasso tool support already built in. So if you need to just simply like circle a bunch of them, you just draw the circle around it. It's going to bring up that deconfliction screen, and then you can hit edit. We could select all of those, and you can either just delete them, or in the new version that's coming out, I can hit send, and it'll send it, and I can send it to a data sync mission or to a specific user that's on the server if I wanted to as part of that. Then we have kind of your standard contacts, overlay managers, KML overlays, all that other stuff. Point dropper and drawing tools are built in, so we can select all of your normal icons as part of it. There is an issue right now of landscape mode, and that'll be changed in 2.0 with the later updates. But if I click on like point droppers here, we choose what we want our points to be, and the different icon sets, whatever, and then we can select those and go from there. The last thing I'll show you, and then I want to briefly talk about just the history of and how this is consolidating. We do have the idea of track logs built in, and so from a track log perspective, you can choose to, again, see the track logs if I was tracking somebody else, or if I have it turned on to track my location, I can see those as part of this. And then tap on that, and it'll bring up the KML map of what that track log was. You can export this out to KML and then import it in wherever you need it to. So there's some settings you can change of like how it breaks these up, but that's kind of just built in automatically if you needed it. So okay, so that's kind of the quick demo. Definitely encourage you to play with it. Download it. It's free in the App Store as part of it. So that's the fun stuff about it, is have fun with that. Integrations, so we do have GoTen integration coming in the next release. So that'll also do backhaul from ATAK, and you can QR code scan everything else. The Hail by Rain Technologies dashboard that Paul was actually showing, we'll be also doing that as part of the next release, so you're seeing that live in this demo here. For those of you who saw the Ditto demo, Ditto's already done the integration into TAK Aware, so they've got that working. I don't know when that releases because we've got to work on all that other stuff. And then with GoTennis support, we'll be working with Everywhere Comms to also be integrating some of that stuff into there. Roadmap and future, all I'm going to say about that is feel free to go to the GitHub. You can look at milestones and take a look at what some of those things are. The biggest thing will be in the 2.0 release. We'll be changing it so that on landscape mode, it comes out, the menus come out from the left side to make it a lot actually usable in landscape. So, okay, so now the last thing before we break for lunch, I just want to talk very briefly about this feature. The bifurcation is not good to the community. We don't want there to be 2 or 3 versions of iOS TAK out there. It's not good for us as responders. It's not good for us as vendors, all those kinds of things. So what I can say is that I work really closely with Rodney Jones and the Secret Service, and they're talking about their version of iTAK going out to the App Store. We work really closely together in collaboration. So know that like any efforts that are happening right now in the community are unlike the cloud TAK civil war that's potentially going on. From our side of it, we are working really closely together on this. Okay, good. I'm glad. So we're working really closely on how we solve this problem. We are working closely with Apple on plugins. It's a technology challenge that they've got on their side that we're working on. But the idea behind that being that if we can create a plugin, or we create a single plugin that works across iTAK and TAK Aware, that's great. If we only ever have to have one application, that's even better. And that's kind of part of our conversations close with the TPC on strategy. So this is not just some wild effort that's out there. This was something that we needed from the public safety community to solve. We've built this. It's gone out rapidly. The app is going to continue to be open source available and supported. We're working with a lot of vendors and different people about how we continue to grow this and work really closely together. So, I would say that the future of iOS is going to be strong going forward. We don't know exactly what that'll 100% look like, but whatever it is, we've got a lot of collaboration and a lot of effort moving forward towards all this. So. So if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I've got some cards and flashlights up here. Feel free to come grab some. Happy to answer questions about anything that's there. I know that it's lunchtime, so I want to make sure you all get out to lunch. But I'll be hanging out here around, so if you've got questions, feel free to let me know. And thank you very much to all the public safety panelists who were here today. Really grateful for your contributions to the community. So let's give them a big round of applause as well. So.